Gauranikai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद जी की जय। शिला गुरुदेव जी की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि 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 बोल। हरे कृष्णा। हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna.
प्रभु जी।
Devavrata Prabhu, can we start now?
Yes. Can I request all the devotees, as much as possible, have your cameras on?
Bhakt, sir, we request devotees to please switch on your cameras. Prabhu has traveled from US. He is into jet lag still. He is there with his camera on. प्रभु जी लॉस एंजलिस से आए हैं, यूएस से, जेट लैग है, फिर भी कैमरा खोला हुआ है। हम में से किसी के साथ जेट लैग नहीं होगा, किसी का सर दर्द नहीं होगा। वी रिक्वेस्ट कि बाकी दिन तो आप कैमरा ऑफ रखते हैं, पर टुडे इज अ स्पेशल डे, वी हैव इंटरनेशनल स्पीकर विद अस, सो वी कैन स्विच ऑन आवर कैमरास। सीए रोशनी सोनी माता जी, अलका माता जी, मानसी माता जी, परविंदर सिंह प्रभु, वृष्णि पालक प्रभु, एसपी सिंह प्रभु। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मानसी माता, हरे कृष्णा। यस, हमें पहली बार देखा मानसी माता को। अलका माता, हरे कृष्णा। सीए रोशनी सोनी माता जी, प्लीज स्विच ऑन योर कैमरा।
प्रभु जी मैं ट्रैवल कर रही हूँ ऑफिस के लिए, मुझे 10 मिनट्स दीजिए आप रास्ते में।
Okay.
Okay, Prabhu, we can begin.
So few are they like traveling for their office, so they're saying this is why they're not able to switch on the cameras.
That's okay.
Like
As
to give a
those
brief
who are able
introduction
to, I just
about.
request that they have it. But
Sorry?
if you're not able to due to work considerations, I understand. It's okay.
Okay.
Just anyone as far as possible, please have your camera on. It's okay.
So we like to give a brief introduction about Devavrata Prabhu. Devavrata Prabhu holds BA in Cultural Anthropology with a specialization in Eastern thought and practice. His spiritual journey began at the age of 17 after reading the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is in his friend's house. In 2015, he received his first spiritual book at musical festival, which led him to chant regularly, and he visited ISKCON temple in ISKCON. He visited ISKCON temple in Seattle, Washington. In 2017, after completing his education, Devavrata Prabhu joined Brahmachari Ashram in the city of Maya, Los Angeles. It's not easy. It's difficult for us to practice in Gurgaon. So many allurements, so many things are there. But to do bhakti with full determination, Devavrata, his name is Devavrata. Dridhavrata, he's Dridhavrata also. So he joined as a monk where? In Los Angeles. And but he also led Sankirtan party. And who has started the Sankirtan movement? Surabhi Kunjita Nama Hatta Khole The. Who has started this marketplace of Nama? Nityananda Prabhu. So he started the Bas Sankirtan party with the name of Nitai Jeev Doya. And he focuses on engaging college students with the wisdom of ancient texts. Same year, he was formally initiated by Visasika Prabhu. And in 2019, he accepted Radhasham Prabhu as his Shiksha Guru. Now based at ISKCON Silicon Valley, Devavrata Prabhu is actively involved in youth outreach and travels frequently to India, where he connects with Indian youth and inspire them so that they can also come more closer to Krishna. So let's welcome Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
His
Ram,
Grace
Hare
Devavrata
Hare.
Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Still we request devotees who can able to manage to switch on their cameras, they can switch on their cameras. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, your mic is muted.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Hate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nasupraya Shudabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tatarajastamo Bhava Kamalo Bhadayasyaye Chetan Eter Navidam Stipam Satpe Prasidyati Evam Prasana Manaso Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangha Sajayate Vidyate Hridaye Grantis Chidyante Sarva Samsayaha Hisyanti Chasya Karmani Juste Evatma Ishvare. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter number 6. Chapter is entitled Creation of the Universal Form, and text number 9. Sadyatma Sadidaivascha Saribhuta iti trida Virat prano dasha vida Ekada hridayena cha Sadyatmana sadidhaivascha Sadibhuta iti trida Virat prano dasa vidha Ekada hridayena cha Sadyatmana sadidhaivascha Sadibhuta iti trida Virat prano dasa vidha Ekada hridayena cha. Do you want to display the verse on the screen, Prabhu? I don't know. I don't know if that's the system. Okay. Anyways, I'll continue. Yeah. Sadyatma, the body and mind with all the senses. Saridaiva, and the controlling demigods of the senses. Cha and Saadibhuta, the present objectives. Iti, thus. Trida, three. Virat, gigantic. Prana, moving force. Dashavida, 10 kinds. Ekada, one only. Hridayena, living entity. Cha, also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The gigantic universal form is represented by 3, 10, and 1 in the sense that he is the body and the mind and the senses. He is the dynamic force for all the movements by the 10 kinds of life energy, and he is the one part where life energy is generated. Purport. Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita 4:5, it is stated that the 8 elements, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are all products of the Lord's inferior energy, whereas the living entities who are seen to utilize the inferior energy originally belong to the superior energy, the internal potency of the Lord. The 8 inferior energies work grossly and subtly, whereas the superior energy works as the central generating force. This is experienced in the human body. The gross elements, namely earth, etc., form the external gross body and are like a coat, whereas the subtle mind and false ego act like the inner clothing of the body. The movements of the body are first generated from the heart, and all the activities of the body are made possible by the senses, powered by the 10 kinds of air within the body. The 10 kinds of air are described as follows. The main air passing through the nose in breathing is called prana. Air which passes through the rectum as evacuated bodily air is called apana. Air which adjusts the foodstuff within the stomach and which is sometimes sounds as belching is called samana. Air which passes through the throat and the stoppage of which constitutes suffocation is called udhana air. And the total air which circulates through the entire body is called vayana air. Subtler than these 5 airs, there are others also. That which facilitates the openings of the eyes, mouth, etc. is called naga air. Air which increases appetite is called kara air. Air which helps contraction is called kurma air. Air which helps relaxation by opening the mouth wide and yawning is called Devavrata air. And the air which helps subsistence is called Dhananjaya air. All these airs are generated from the center of the heart, which is one only. This essential energy is the superior energy of the Lord, who is seated within the heart, within the soul of the body, who acts under the guidance of the Lord. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita as follows. Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto matasmritir jnanam papodanam cha vedesa sarvirahameva vedyo vedantakrit veda vedeva chaham. The complete central force is generated from the heart by the Lord, who is seated there and who helps the conditioned soul in remembering and forgetting. The conditioned soul, the conditioned state is due to the soul's forgetfulness of his relationship of subordination to the Lord. One who wants to continue to forget the Lord is helped by the Lord to forget him birth after birth.
Yeah.
One who remembers him by dint of association with the devotee of the Lord is helped to remember him more and more. As the conditioned soul can ultimately go back to God. Can we mute everyone? Namaste, Prabhu. Okay, just muted me. Okay. Just ask everyone. If everyone can please mute while we're reading.
Hare Krishna, devotees are requested to.
I can do it. I can just keep it on. One who wants to continue to forget the Lord is helped by the Lord to forget him birth after birth. But one who remembers him by dint of association with the devotee of the Lord is helped to remember him more and more. Thus, the conditioned soul can ultimately go home, back to Godhead. This process of transcendental help by the Lord is described in Bhagavad Gita as follows. Te sam satata yuktanam vajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayamti te. But the Buddha yoga process of self-realization with intelligence transcendental to the mind can alone elevate one from the conditioned state of material entanglement in the cosmic construction. The conditioned state of the living entity is like that of a person who is within the depths of a huge mechanical arrangement. The mental speculators can reach the point of Buddha yoga after many, many lifetimes of speculation, but the intelligent person who begins from the platform of intelligence above the mind makes rapid progress in self-realization. Because the Buddha yoga process entails no fear of deterioration or regression at any time, it is a guaranteed path of self-realization as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Mental speculators cannot understand that the 2 birds sitting in the tree are the soul and the supersoul. The individual soul eats the fruit of the tree, while the other bird does not eat the fruit, but only observes the activities of the eating bird. Without attachment, the witnessing bird helps the fruit-eating bird perform fruitful activities. One who cannot understand this difference between the soul and the supersoul, or God and the living entities, is certainly still in the entanglement of the cosmic machinery, and thus must still await the time when he will be free from bondage. Om jnana timidandasya jnananjana shalakoya chakshurun minitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Nama Shreshtam Manu Api Sachiputram Atrasvarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Urupurim Matharim Gosvaratim Radha Kundam Girivaram Horarika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Patiti Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Hey Guru, Gyanadari Navando, Swaranandai Karunagai Kasindhu, Vrindavana Sina Itavatara, Rashida Radha Pranaya Prachara, Hey Dina Bandhu Karunagai Kasindhu, Guru Prashade Mahimanda Murhe, Lakshaparade Bahupapa Gande, Parapadme Simitis Shri Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatadeshatarine Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvase Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopeshwa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarumbisya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nakun koreti vachalam pangolangai tegirim, Yakripatarham bande, Shigurum vinatarinam, Durgame patiminantasya sakalat paragatir mahur, Svakripa yasti dhanena, Santa Sanfa avalambanam. Hare Krishna. It's my pleasure to be with all the devotees here in Gurugram, and I especially thank His Grace Namashrai Prabhu for facilitating this Sangha, and my godbrother Akshobhai Tirtha Prabhu, who's very kindly allowed me to stay with him and his family to get settled into India. And I thank all of you for showing up to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very rare thing in the time that we live in to find a group of people who are willing to come together for the purpose of hearing the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam be spoken in such a way that it fully purifies the heart. As the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Yaya samohito jivo atmanam trigunatmakam harupi manyate nartham takritam yakritam chabipadyate. That although the living entity is transcendental to this material body, it identifies falsely with the material body and it actually takes this body to be themselves. So therefore, in order to revive the original awareness of the living entity, Veda Vyasadeva, out of his compassion, has written this Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's been spoken by Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Yaswanu Baba Makila Shrutisadav Ekam Adhyatman Deepam Atitishatam Tanu Nindam Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Guyam Tam Vyasa Sunam Upayami Guru Maninam. That there's a special quality which has come from the way Shukadeva Goswami has spoken the Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we hear that particular Bhagavatam, it has a profound effect on the consciousness because it's been spoken samsarinam karunayaha purana guyam. It's been spoken specifically out of compassion for those who are bound in the bodily conception of life. So the Srimad Bhagavatam goes on to glorify itself with anartho pasanam sakshat bhakti yogam zadhoksaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satbhava samhitam. That for those who are anartho, for those who are ajanato, unaware of the spiritual conclusions of life, this Sattva Samhitam has been spoken in order to revive their original spiritual consciousness. So for those who are interested in coming together and hearing this message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they are worshipable, because it's rare to find people in an age which is highly misdirected by a polluted aim of life, the Srimad Bhagavatam says. Visaya vidusti matir, that their consciousness is misdirected towards a polluted aim of life, mostly in trying to keep the body and soul together, mostly in trying to keep this material body comfort. And that's why people are working so hard. And this is explained by Srila Rishabdev, Nunam pramato kurute vikarmat, yat indriya priyapayapanoti, nasara manye paratasvatoba, nasarapi kleshasta asa deha. That he says, I don't think it's a good idea to work so hard to keep this material body comfortable, considering this material body is asadapi kleshas asa deha. It's the abode of so many kleshas. It's the abode of so much unwanted misery. And from accepting the activities in order to keep this material body comfortable, Rishabdev goes on to explain Parabhavasyavada Bhota Jato Yavanna Jignasyata Atmatattvam. Tavat Kriyastava Idam Manovai Karmatmakam Yena Sharira Bandha. Tavat Kriyastava Idam Manovai, those activities which they engage in order to keep the material body comfortable. Whether one works as a police officer, or whether one works as a shopkeeper, or whatever they do in order to keep themselves busy with this bodily conception of life. Tavat kriyastava idam manovai paramatmakam yena sharira bandha. That work, it colors their consciousness in a particular way. Karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. And according to the type of body according to the type of work which they do, they acquire a body which is resembles the quality of that work. And this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is what's being explained in this verse here, that the material energy can form itself in an innumerable number of ways. To be specific, 8,400,000 different ways in which the material energy can match your particular disposition of consciousness. It can reciprocate. Karmanam daiva naitrena, that according to your karma, according to your activity, there's a divine arrangement which is created by the material energy. And it fits your activity, your previous activity, the choices which you've made previously, perfectly. There's no room for ambiguity. There's no room for excuses. The circumstance which you find yourself in now, you have perfectly created for yourself based on the activities which you've done in the past. So the Bhagavad Gita goes on to explain, Shariram yadavatnoti yachchapi ukrama ishvaraha grihet vaitani samyanti vayorgandan evashayat, that this particular fragrance of consciousness which you've created for yourself, you carry that with you into the next life. And how that consciousness is carried can be understood by the type of body which you acquire. Shotam chakshu sprasanam cha rasanam griham eva cha adittasya manaschayam visayan upasevate. That according to your activity, you've developed a particular taste for a particular set of sense objects in order to continue to pursue those goals, in order to continue to pursue those polluted aims of life. You've been given a particular body. So for instance, you find that in the species of cats, cats are attracted to cat food. In species of dogs, they're attracted to dog food. or in the form of a cow. They like to eat grass. Practically speaking, that's all cows do all day is just eat grass. If you've ever taken care of cows before, which I imagine some people have some experience of having at least seen it, is that the cows go out in the field and what do? They eat grass. And then when they bring them back to the barn, or they bring them back to the Goshala, what do they have them do? Eat more grass. If you tried engaging any human in doing the activities of a cow, it would be completely miserable. Because what does the cow do? It sits down and it chews more of the grass which it was eating previously. And then it sleeps, gets up, eats more grass, sleeps, chews the grass which it just ate, and it goes on doing this its entire life. You don't see this in the form of a human being. Why? Because the human being has acquired a different type of nature according to its previous association with the modes of material nature. So the Bhagavad Gita goes on to explain that this position of life which you've fixed yourself in, Purusha Prakritisto hi Bhakte Prakritir Jangunan Kananam Gunasangosyat Sarasad Yomi Janmasu, you're pulled along by those modes of material nature. You're pulled along by that quality of consciousness which you've created for yourself. But there is something which is beyond that quality of consciousness which you've created for yourself. There is something which is giving you the intelligence to even know how to pursue anything in this world. And that is the presence of Krishna situated within the heart. Uprajastanumantam cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaram Parameti cha piyukto Dehi smim purusaparaha. And Krishna explains in this section of the Bhagavad Gita, after he says Purusha Prakritisto, he says, but beyond that conditioned existence, I exist as the overseer and the permitter, situated within the heart of every living entity. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the commentary that as the living entity goes on with its various activities, the challenges which arise from trying to function with the material body, trying to manage the activities in the material body, Krishna from within the heart is saying, just give it all up and come back to me. And the whole function of the material world, the whole function of all of Krishna's energies, Parashaktir Vividai Visuyate, is simply to facilitate this remembrance. Just give it up, all up, living entity, and turn towards me. Everything in this world is moving us in that direction, moving us towards Krishna, either directly or indirectly. Everything is moving us towards Krishna. And when we make the choice to turn our attention towards Krishna, then Krishna is ready to reciprocate. As Srila Prabhupada is saying in this verse, Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayamtite. That Krishna is ready to facilitate our growth, our movement towards him, if we simply are willing to accept the process and become sincere. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's this beautiful set of verses at the end of the 18th chapter, which says, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrityadrani tishtati brahmayam sarva bhutani yantri rudrani maya, that the living entity seated on the machine of this material body, sitting with that living entity is the super soul. And one can come in touch with the super soul, Krishna says, by tameva saranam gacha. You simply surrender onto Krishna. So how does this surrender practically take place in the life of the living entity? As long as we are struggling with the mind and the senses, even if we have an iota of sincerity, to receive personal instruction from Krishna from within the heart is practically impossible due to our overabsorption in the complexities of the material machine. So Krishna, out of his boundless compassion, manifests himself in another way, which is explained by Uddhava in the Uddhava Gita. Navyo payantam apachim kalayasta veshas brahmano sapti kritam rudam vayam smarantam. What is it? Let's see. Yontar bahis tanubritam ashudam bidunvan acharya cheta bakusa swagatim binakti. That Uddhava is saying that it's very difficult to glorify you, even if one has been gifted with the length of life of Lord Brahman. Even sages find it difficult to glorify you completely. Why? Because you're so merciful that you not only manifest yourself in the heart of every living entity as the Chaitya Guru, but Acharya Chaita Bapusa Swagatim Vinakti, that you also manifest yourself in the form of the Acharya. So the manifestation of the presence of the spiritual master in the life of the living entity, Srila Prabhupada explains, should be taken as directly receiving the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Krishna has personally manifested in your life via the medium of the spiritual master. The personal association, the sanctified instructions of the spiritual master should be taken as the direct mercy of Krishna. And to the degree we are willing to apply those instructions which have been given by the spiritual master, to that degree, Krishna will reveal himself in our life practically. And the guidance of the Paramatma from within the heart becomes a living reality, because one is able to take the instructions of the spiritual master, apply them, and then simultaneously cross-reference those instructions with the guidance which is coming from their own internal inspiration, from their own process of introspection. They can see that from within the heart, I'm receiving instructions which align with the instructions I've received with the spiritual master, and which align with the instructions which Krishna has given in the Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada, in the second chapter of the second canto, third to last verse, offers a very beautiful commentary to this verse, which says Bhagavan sarvabhuteshu lakshita swatmanahari. Drishtir buddhyadi birjasta lakshanayar anumapakai. Anumapakai means through hypothesis and through introspection, one can come to perceive Bhagavan sarvabhuteshu, how Krishna is existing within the heart of every living entity. Bhagavan sarvabhuteshu lakshita swatmanahari. Dristir buddhyadi birjasta, he can be perceived through the intelligence. So through intelligence and through introspection and through hypothesis, one can perceive the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna, or Srila Prabhupada, leads the reader of the Bhagavatam through a meditation to come to understand how, yes, these various airs are flowing through the body. The lungs are breathing automatically. My eyes are taking in information inconceivably. My ears are taking in sound. My digestion is moving automatically. Hairs are growing. And I'm practically doing none of it. And one can take a moment to reflect and realize that, yes, I exist. And my existence is completely dependent upon the functions of how this material body is operating so naturally that somehow I'm existing. And I can perceive how I'm existing and how I'm separate from this machine through introspection. And then I'm just an observer of this body, and I'm completely dependent on the mechanics of this body. So in that state, one can realize that I'm not this body, but I am existing in the body, and simultaneously I am receiving information to guide this body, which is beyond my control in a particular way, in order to achieve the various desires and ideas which I've formulated within my mind. And how I've received the ability to formulate those plans is also beyond my control. So this body is beyond my control, and the ideas which I've received to make this body function in a particular way, to move in a particular direction, to do a particular thing, that's also beyond my control. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that to perceive the informed intelligence which is being offered to us at every single moment, and to appreciate that intelligence and how it's being offered to us beyond our capacity to understand, that is our first step towards realizing how Krishna is seated within our heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sani vishnu mataspritir jnanam apodaham cha. That Krishna is offering the remembrance. Krishna is offering me the knowledge and the ability to do anything and everything. And then when I become serious about this connection, then I can consult the Vedic intelligence of the Bhagavad Gita in order to utilize this machine, utilize this function of the body, utilize the conditions which I've acquired for myself by previous association with this world towards pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when I move in that direction, Jitatman Prashantasya, Jitatma Prashantasya Paramatma Samahita, Sito Sam Sukadukesu, Tatamana Pamanayo. That one who is in touch with the Supreme, the Super Soul, one who's in touch with the Paramatma, then their consciousness is such as that they are beyond all considerations of heat and cold, honor and dishonor, happiness and distress. The conditions of this world become superfluous to them. Why? Because they are only functioning for the purpose of service. And their intelligence is fixed on creating arrangements for the pleasure of Krishna. So if there are perceived reversals materially in the life of a devotee, the devotee accepts them to be the mercy of the Lord, because they can see through their own introspection their sincere desire to move towards Krishna, and they're making that sincere attempt to work for Krishna. So because they're sincerely desiring Krishna and they're sincerely working towards Krishna, they accept that everything in this world is being organized for their attainment of Krishna. This verse and practically the entire third canto is an opportunity for us to pick apart the elements of this world, to come to realize that yes, I do exist, and yes, I do have a higher purpose, and that purpose is service. And when we accept that knowledge, that is the perfection of this Sankhya philosophy, that all this information which is being presented here and which will be presented throughout the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam is simply the Sankhya philosophy, which means to count, to pick it all apart. Just like if you have a birthday cake and you see the cake and it looks very beautiful, very attractive, you want to eat it as soon as possible. Application of Sankhya in that particular circumstance would be to see that the cake is simply made of flour, frosting, sugar, and you take all the ingredients and you put them in their own category, and then you can see it as it is. So in the same way, when we take a moment to categorically realize how we are different from this material body, we are different from the circumstances which we've been subjected to in this material body, then that introspection and that application of intelligence will naturally lead us to want to engage in something which is also beyond this body. And what is that activity? Tasma sarvatmana rajan harim sarvatra sarvavad shodvayas kirtvayas yasya smartvayas bhagavan nirnam. Shukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj that the duty of every man at all places and all times is to remain absorbed in hearing, chanting, and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because that is categorically aligned with who you are. Asango yayam purushaha. That is where you belong. That vibration is where you belong. And to remain absorbed in that vibration and to be a conduit and a representative of that vibration is the perfection of the human form of life. So I think we're supposed to stop at 45. So I have about 10 minutes, 7 minutes left. So with that, I would just like to open it up for some discussion if anyone had any questions or reflections on what was spoken. And I apologize if I was speaking too fast. I also apologize for not knowing the Hindi language.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I have a question.
Yes.
Because, so the summary of Canto 3 was very precise, and very often, we do want to believe that, yes, I do exist beyond this body. Okay, fine. Number one, check. I do have a higher purpose. That's where I think the confusion begins. People start finding higher purpose and using their intelligence, their body, or whatever else to do things. And the purpose to serve Krishna becomes even more, they think that it's delusional. And it's linked to the step, the order in which one has to believe as well as realize. So, especially when we preach, how do we know when the person is ready to move to the second one, which is I do have a higher purpose, which is not what they think, material success or something else?
Well, we can get a good idea of where someone's at based on the questions which they're asking us. Yeah, I would say that we can always grade people in various different categories based on the quality of questions which they're asking. If their questions are moving towards an existential position, then we can begin to offer a better alternative. But also many people, because Krishna consciousness is quite commonsensical, if people can just accept that you have to be of service, we just stick on this point, what is the best thing to serve? And you can experience for yourself how serving Krishna is the best thing simply by doing it. Atashri Krishna namadi nambavet graim indriya sevan mukhi jivada swayameva spratira. Krishna consciousness is made extremely easy just by engaging the tongue in the service of Krishna. If we can engage our tongue in chanting Krishna's names and taking prasadam, these activities give one direct perception of Krishna. And practically anyone who's a devotee now, they can attest to the potency of the chanting and the potency of prasadam. So Krishna will reveal himself, and that will bring out a deeper spirit of inquiry and sincerity, if that vibration's heard in the right association. Vipatiye bhagavata atmanasatam katamrita shravana putesu samritam. Puyanti ye vishaya vitushita sayam. Rijanti ye tat shararo ruhamti kam. That by hearing this katamritam, this Srimad Bhagavatam, this message of the glories of Krishna, what happens automatically, Shukadev Goswami says, is that the polluted aim of life is purified. So the main thing is we have to get people exposed to that vibration. If you can get people exposed to that vibration, how that vibration purifies is quite magnificent, even if they don't have faith in it.
And prasadam.
And prasadam.
That's good. Thank you.
I think we have Ashirvad Das.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you so much for this class. It was a great reminder that we should be always conscious that we are not this body, we are something beyond. But in day-to-day life, at all times, we don't remember we are not always in this consciousness. So what should we do so that in all circumstances we maintain this consciousness that we are not this body, the situations that we are in are cause of basically matter, and we are not this material body, and we have to deal with spiritual consciousness, all the circumstances that we are in.
Well, Shukadev Goswami says, Tasmat Sarvatmana Rajan, Harim Sarvatra Sarvavad, Shodvayas Kirtvayasyasya Smartvayas Bhagavanirnam. That everyone at all times and all places should always be engaged in hearing and remembering Krishna. So as much as possible, we have to create facility for ourselves to be hearing transcendental vibration. You can keep a MP3 recorder on a speaker inside your house, which is constantly playing Krishna Katha. I know many devotees all across the world that they have these recordings of Amala Bhakta Maharaj. And everywhere that you go, you'll hear his voice. I've been fortunate to live with him in Los Angeles. And what a service he's done to facilitate so many devotees' ability to keep that vibration of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Bhagavat flowing in their house. So becoming creative to see that the transcendental vibration can always be going. I personally make it a point to memorize lots of shlokas because it keeps my mind very active, and it allows me to remember the instructions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Also, we can make it a point that if you don't feel like you can do it all the time, then you should have a set of some particular time, which is designated. Just like we have time for eating, we have time for sleeping, we have time for going to the bathroom, we have time for taking a shower. All these things we are set in our life. So unless we understand the urgency of the need to stay in contact with spiritual vibration, it'll be very difficult for us to make time. So in order to understand the urgency, we have to expose ourselves to the association of devotees who have caught that urgency. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Preme Teno Puna Mukhya Anga. That the root of Krishna Bhakti is the association of sadhus, the association of devotees. So if you can expose yourself to the association of devotees who are adamant about reading Srila Prabhupada's books, adamant about chanting very serious rounds, adamant about seeing that other people are given the opportunity to take in this vibration as well, then that will infect you through their association. Just like we had COVID and everyone was worried about getting infected, but this is an infection which you want to catch. You get exposed to someone who is enlivened by Krishna Katha, enlivened by the holy name, enlivened by the activities of spreading Krishna consciousness, then that will begin to infect your consciousness as well. So it is all a matter of association, and it also is a matter of taking the time to be conscious about our environment, taking the time to set ourselves up to hear transcendental vibration. That's what sadhana means. It's a practice. It's not going to be automatic. You have to You have to work for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. We had 7:45. Do we have time, Prabhu, for Namashrai Prabhu, for one more? Is he
Yes,
there?
Prabhuji, if you allow, we can take one more question from
Okay.
Roshni.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So my question is like, as you said, like we are in this body as a soul, and everything is organized by the Krishna, and whatever we get it because of our karmas also. So like, if someone get ill, someone get any diseases, so should we bear that disease, or then because lots of money and time and energy get into the treatment and all that, so like, should we bear that problem, disease, and just keep our activities intact, or what? I mean, we should go for treatment, medicines, and all that. So that's my question.
I would say that question is quite case by case, because I know some devotees who would do their level best to see that they can continue to go on, like Jayapataka Maharaj, for instance. He was practically in a life and death situation, but he accepted the treatment. He's still in a life death situation now, but he's accepted the treatment to see that he can go on living. But there's other devotees who, when they've been put into a position of terminal illness, they've just accepted as the will of Krishna and they've wrapped things up. So I would say it's very much a case by case basis.
So if I take my case, like I have a diabetes, and like I have to take in injections, which is a painful sometimes. So I thought, like, should I keep on going there, or should like let it be? Like, I've accepted the fact that, but
No, you should continue to take that.
okay.
I'm speaking about life and death. I mean, diabetes is life and death, but it's also treatable. It's painful, but it's treatable. And kamasindriya pritir lava jivata yavata jivasya tattva jignasyat nartho yascheha karmabi. Ultimately, like I said, it's a case by case basis, but to wrap things up is not easy. If, let's say, for instance, I'm not encouraging it at all. Let's say you were to stop taking your what's it called? Insulin.
Yeah.
Stop taking your insulin. Are you actually ready to begin to wrap up your affairs? It's not even easy to move from one place to another. What to speak of changing bodies? I mean, if you've ever had to move from one house to another house or whatever it may be, it's not easy doing that transition. It's extremely uneasy to transition out of the material body. So we should see that our practice of Krishna consciousness becomes very strong, and we should keep our body fit and strong for the purpose of becoming strong in Krishna consciousness. So if you have something like diabetes, which is treatable through insulin, although it might be painful, it's tolerable. You should continue to take that treatment for the purpose of becoming strong in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We can't hear you, Namashrai Prabhu.
प्रभु जी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
We can't hear you, Namashrai Prabhu. You just have to unmute, I think.
Is my voice is audible now, Prabhu?
Yes, very good.
So we are very thankful to His Grace Devavrata Prabhu that he shared his deep realizations, his heart which is filled with Krishna consciousness. He was sharing with so much ecstasy. He was sharing so many, like you referred from so many verses. Very wonderful, very ecstatic class. Anyone can feel the ecstasy which he is feeling within his heart, because he has so much deep connection with the verses, with the Shastras, with this Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's thank Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra for sharing his deep, heartfelt realizations and ecstasy which he is feeling within his heart. So let's thank him by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
His Grace Devavrata Prabhu ki.
Jai.
Thanks to you all also who joined, actively participated, was asking very actively the nice questions. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram, Hare Hare.
Prabhupada की,
Jai.
गौर निताई की,
Jai.
राधा गोपीनाथ की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Bol.
Hare Hare Bol.